Hi, this is Theo from PocketBlocks.com. Today I'm going to show you this 12 half pen set of Van Gogh watercolor. I'm going to show you some color charts and also some examples of sketches that I have colored with this set. Van Gogh watercolors are made by this company called Royal Talens, which are based in Netherlands. They also make another brand which is called Rembrandt. You might know of that. Anyway, I bought this box set because of the metal box. Van Gogh watercolors, they are sold in different types of box sets. Usually you will find them in the white plastic box with different number of colors. So the one that I have, it has 12 colors, and usually the colors that are in other box set will be quite similar. So without further ado, let's paint some color swatches. Let me start with permanent lemon yellow. This is made of pigment PY184. So let's see if this is transparent. The pigment concentration is good enough, but I feel that it can be a bit stronger. So this is actually transparent. Next up, I'm using Azo Yellow Medium. This is made of two pigments, PY154 and PO62. So that's a yellow pigment and an orange pigment. And this color is also transparent. Next is the warm red, which is permanent red light. This is made of PR254. So this is really very strong, very intense warm red. And next is Metallic Deep. This is a cool color that is quite similar to permanent Alizari Crimson. So this is also quite transparent, very nice, very strong also. Next up is Cobalt Blue. They put it in bracket Ultramarine. This is made of two pigments, PB29 and PW6. PB29 is the code for Ultramarine, and PW6 is actually white because we have Chinese white here, which is PW4. So they actually added some white into this Ultramarine. So you can see this deep shade of blue, which is quite similar to Ultramarine. They also have Ultramarine in this box set at the bottom left. So I'm just going to compare that with the Ultramarine right now, which is PB29. So Ultramarine has a much stronger, a much warmer shade to it compared to Cobalt Blue, which is quite strange because it seems that they added Chinese white and it made the color a bit pastel-like. Then we have Hooker Green Light. This is not a color that I use very often. Often I will use sap green, but this is quite close to sap green actually. Oops, this is PG7 and PY154. It looks transparent to me. And Phthalo Green, the really bright, cool green. This color is usually transparent. Yellow Ochre, PY42. This is not transparent. This color is very good for mixing skin tones. Next is the very useful Burnt Sienna, which is made of two pigments, PR101 and P Black 11. Very nice earth tone that I usually use with Ultramarine or Cobalt Blue to mix gray tones. And we have Payne's Gray. This is a nice shade of Payne's Gray. And lastly, there is Chinese White. Chinese white is an opaque white color, so I only use this when I want to cover up some colors. You can see that this is quite opaque. And if you mix this color with other colors, it's going to make all your other colors very pastel-like. To save some time, I have already mixed this color chart in advance. So this is the Van Gogh color chart, and this on the right side is the Winsor & Newton Cotman color chart. So you can see that both of them, they are quite vibrant, very comparable. The only difference I would say is Winsor & Newton, some of the colors, they appear to be more granular. They have more sedimentation, especially for phthalo blue, strangely. Even for ultramarine, you can see more sedimentation and granulation. And also for the burnt sienna or the earth tones. But for Van Gogh, it seems that the granulation isn't as heavy compared to Winsor & Newton Cotman, so the colors here are much cleaner, so to speak. Let me compare them to Daniel Smith watercolors. Also quite comparable. Daniel Smith also has some granulation going on with some of these colors. So you can see here that Van Gogh is cleaner. This is Daniel Smith, which appears to me to be more textural. And this is Schmink, also from a 12 half pan metal set. Also quite comparable. So Van Gogh, even though it's supposed to be student grade, I would say the colors, they are quite vibrant. Let me show you some of the sketches that I have drawn in Bali and the colors that I have used. For the sky, I use a combination of cobalt blue and ultramarine. So you see some granulation here. I think I added some burnt sienna for some areas to make the sky a bit darker, to get some grays as well. For the foliage, I use Hooker's green and phthalo green. So this part here, the yellow green, is actually Hooker green, and the darker shades are phthalo green mixed with metallic or phthalo green mixed with burnt sienna to get the much darker shade. If you are going to be using phthalo green on its own, it's going to be too bright. This is phthalo green on its own, so this color is too bright, so I mixed it with metallic to get this color, and then I use it to apply it to the shadow areas. Or I add burnt sienna, which will give me this dark color. I'll apply it to the shadow areas as well. For the roofs, I use the azo yellow and red. For the concrete areas here, that would be ultramarine and burnt sienna. This is colored with Van Gogh as well. For this particular sketch, I use Hooker green and phthalo green a lot. So you see all these green colors are actually Hooker green and phthalo green. For this mountain here, this is actually a volcano with a crater lake. I use phthalo green and metallic dip, so I was able to get a very dark color. If you look at this color chart again, phthalo green and metallic, you get a color that is like this. So if you add the pigments in concentration, you are going to get a very dark color. And finally, I laid on top of the volcano with Chinese white. Now for Chinese white, I want to point out this strange characteristic. For some reason, when I mix Chinese white, there were a lot of bubbles. So when I applied it on top of my dried watercolor, it looks something like this. And when the bubbles burst, they create some sort of texture like this. I'm not sure if I like this particular texture. So you can see here that there are a lot of bubbles as well here. So this is Chinese white from Van Gogh. And for this sketch here, I use ultramarine or cobalt blue. Anyway, both of the blues are quite similar. So if you want to add a cool blue, which I really do suggest you add a cool blue, you can replace Chinese white with maybe phthalo blue. So you can get more variations for your blue instead of just a warm blue like cobalt or warm blue like French ultramarine. Here I use yellow ochre for this area, and also for mixing the bricks here, yellow ochre with metallic or with this permanent red. And for the green areas I use hooker green, and again for the darker greens I use phthalo green. And for this tone here, I'm actually not sure what I use to mix. It's probably French ultramarine and burnt sienna, but with more burnt sienna. Overall, I find the colors to be quite easy to use. Most of them are transparent watercolors, so if you create works like pen and ink, watercolor, washes, then this set is quite suitable, because once you apply the washes over your ink lines, the lines will still be able to show through, so that's quite good. One thing I want to say is the colors seem to be a bit more muted, more pastel-like compared to other brands like Daniel Smith and Mission Gogh, and also the Winsor & Newton. So they appear to be a bit more pastel-like. But it's not too big of a problem because the colors still mix quite well. They don't turn into mud that easily. And this is not as pastel-like compared to Gansai Tanbi. So this is really very pastel-like. You can see, compare the greens here with the greens here, you can see that this green is much brighter compared to the greens here. This is Gansai Tanbi from Japan. Overall, this is a nice box set. I enjoy using it. The price is quite affordable, but the price also depends on where you're buying it from, because this box set comes from Netherlands, so some shops will have to import that. So if you compare it to Winsor & Newton Cotman, sometimes the price is comparable, sometimes this is more expensive, or sometimes this is cheaper. But overall, the color selection is quite good, with the exception of Chinese white. I recommend you replace that with a phthalo blue to make your palette more versatile. Something that I forgot to mention earlier is the light fast rating for these colors. They are rated to last 100 years. Well, that's what Royal Talens say. Also, the color variety, there isn't much variety in the Van Gogh series of watercolor. I went to their website to check it out, and there were only 40 colors, so not too much. If we were to get Rembrandt watercolors, then you have more selections to get in terms of color. Yeah, I think that's all for my video review today. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comment section below. I will also post a link to the scanned image of the color chart so that you can take a closer look at that. Yeah, see you in the next video. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more sketching tips, art product reviews, and goodies. Bye!